Welcome to Holistic Human Performance Podcast. My name is Gena Bradshaw, where we talk all things holistic health, wellness, spirituality, fitness, meditation, energetics, and so much more to help you become the healthiest version of yourself. Let's dive in. This is not medical advice. This is simply to help you on your journey through health, fitness, and wellness. I hope this helps. You can complement this with anything that you are doing currently in your life. Enjoy. Non-toxic products are a huge part of what I want other people to understand. It makes a huge difference in your health and well-being, and especially in my own life. I've seen it before my eyes. It has improved my health on a whole other level, and I've seen that in other people as well. And that is why I started to create my own holistic products and essential oil infusions so that you can utilize them in your day-to-day life. You can smell good, you feel good, and it is beneficial for your health. And that is why I welcome the Holistic Human Performance Essential Oil Infusion Collection and Holistic Products. You can head on over to holistichumanperformance.co/shop and get your holistic products today. Everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Holistic Human Performance Podcast. I'm your host, Gena Bradshaw, and today we have a very special guest with us. We have Nicole Glassman. She's the founder of Mindful Health, located in New York City. She's a holistic health practitioner and is very well-versed and an expert in her field, combining the energy system to help others feel whole again. I am so excited to dive in with you. Like I said before, we have so many commonalities, so this is going to be such a fun, open conversation. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much. And I'm so happy to be here, genuinely. So thank you.
Awesome. Okay. So, everyone always has a journey. I always like to start off with this question, but what even led you down the path of learning and becoming an expert in your field of energy medicine and holistic health?
My own health issues. So in my early 20s, I started having an array of symptoms. So it was, low back pain, my skin was breaking out. I had a lot of burning in my digestive system, just, too young to be experiencing what I was feeling, and then stress and anxiety and the whole gamut of symptoms that I really think was triggered from me finishing college, trying to figure out what my career steps were going to be, just a lot of stress with change. Change definitely triggers some health issues.
That'll do it.
Yeah, for sure. So, all of that kind of led me down a journey of, trying to go to, some Western doctors that in the ones in the beginning were pretty dismissive, trying to attribute my symptoms to depression or, just take anti-anxiety medicine, but not checking what was going on in my gut or what the root of any of this was. Then, years, this went on for several years. So there were even some, holistic integrative doctors that weren't exactly, the most helpful either. So it's not just to not conventional, but it just really taught me how important it is to be heard and to trust your body and to kind of connect to what your body is trying to tell you. Because I think for me, a lot of it, there was a lot of emotional stuff underneath it. But I did also discover ultimately that I had a heavy metal imbalance, like there was a toxicity, and I did have a parasite. So there were true physical things, and I think they were compounded by the emotional experiences that I was also going through.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Can we kind of touch on the topic, because this is like really prevalent, the heavy metals and parasites. Can you kind of like bring us through what you kind of like experienced symptom wise, but also what then became, I guess you could say, the protocol to taking that action towards, removing the heavy metals and toxicity in the body and the parasites?
Yeah. So the thing that I've learned, like on the practitioner side of it, is that you don't want to address a heavy metal imbalance as like your first course of action.
Right.
Usually when there's metals, there's potentially something almost like higher up in terms of the layers in the body, another
Mm,
toxin that might come before it, because the metals are buried the deepest place in the body, and your body does that as a protective mechanism. So it's
okay.
deep in the fat cells. So imagine that because they're there, it makes you more predisposed to having other toxins because there's
Mm,
an imbalance because they're in your body. So when there's another toxin, it's usually a layer above. And so what I
okay.
hear a lot of is people try to just go right for the metals, and then they're almost like trying to detox the metals through another layer of toxins, and it doesn't
Mm,
work, or people
okay.
feel worse, or they feel more toxic in a sense, because it's like it's all just recirculating in the body. So there's really an important protocol to follow, and it's not standard for everyone. Like it's not like this
Right.
is exactly what you do, but what I would say
Right.
is it's really important to have something like called drainage remedies, like remedies that really keep your drainage pathways open. So, the body has a bunch of detox organs, the kidneys, the liver, the lymph, all, I know you know all of this. So, um,
No, but for the listeners, yes, yes.
sure, sure. Yeah. So, the in order for a toxin to come out of the body effectively, those pathways need to be open. And a lot of times because there is a toxin, they're not open. So when I'm working with clients and myself, even when I was going through this, it's really important that those pathways are what's focused on first, so that when someone
Okay.
tries to release toxins, they do it in a way that doesn't feel aggressive or draining to the body, and it's effective. So in the beginning, when I was trying to work on removing, the problem was I don't think the practitioners that I was working with had these pathways open. They
Ah,
and I just was feeling worse. So the number one thing I would say is figure out if there's other toxins before there are metals. Make sure those are dealt with first. It could be a parasite even. That's usually a layer higher up. And it could be with things like bentonite clay for, removing parasites, as well as black walnut or artemisia, or there's a lot of anti-parasite herbs that you can
yeah.
take, as well as homeopathics. Um, the thing with the parasite is people think that you would be like hospitalized if you have a parasite. And if I tell you, like, I feel like one in every three people that come into my office have one and they don't realize it. And
Yeah.
it can not cause such crazy symptoms. Like it could be kind of subtle in a way. Like you might just not have the most optimal gut, or you might feel stressed or fatigued and just kind of think, oh, that's normal. This is just my life, or this is just how I function. So it could be something like that, or it could be to the point where you just feel like you're not digesting at all, or you've lost a lot of weight, or you have like intense cravings. And with metals, I mean, metals, to me, metals are the root of so much of
Oh my
people.
gosh, I know it.
Yeah, like it's the root of so many chronic issues, whether it's coming from the teeth or it's coming from toxins in our environment, even airplane runoff. They're saying there's really high levels of cadmium in the soil these days, and that's literally coming from airplane runoff. And cadmium being toxic to the body. So it's like, I think the fact is we are exposed no matter what we do. It's not
Right.
really easy to just I don't know anyone that could just completely avoid them. It's just making sure that you're constantly aware of the fact that you're being exposed.
And
Maybe even
detoxing.
exactly, maybe even like I do infrared sauna,
Yep.
so that's
Love.
something, I know people that take chlorella regularly, or, I do ionic foot detox,
Oh
foot
my God.
soaks, and
I love
they're the best,
the
right?
foot soaks are the best.
They
I
make
get
me feel
those on the
better.
regular.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, like castor oil packs. Like I love just doing regular detox treatments for myself to kind of keep
Right.
my body optimal, because it's, like I said, it's inevitable. We're all exposed, and the metal protocols can vary. Like I've worked
Mm,
with some clients where like we do, like I said, chlorella, bentonite, chlorophyll. There's actually a lot of different things, but if it's a really severe toxicity, then I would send them to someone who does like IV chelation, like a
mm,
doctor who's monitoring that and can really make sure that, they're supported properly. So it varies.
yeah. So out of curiosity, was the issue because you were mentioning the heavy metals are like the deepest layer for you? What was it that was, I don't know if you came to like a pinpoint, but what was it that was causing these heavy metals to be absorbed on such a deep level in your body?
So I don't know what the origin was. It's a good question, but I've since learned it could even be passed on in the womb. Like
Okay.
you could be born with metals, and like for example, a really high source of metals can come from cigarette smoke. And not to blame my dad, but my dad was a smoker. So I could have been born, with that. Also, my mom also had metals. She found out later. So I'm not sure. I'm sure that quite a bit of it was absorbed
Yeah.
in my life too. But at least I know that I probably started off with some as
Okay.
well.
Okay, that makes sense. And then as for the parasite, like what was
Mhm.
that process like? I'm so curious.
Yeah, so with that, definitely homeopathics, and then herbs as
Yeah.
well, castor oil packs, and
Mm,
then like a binder. So bentonite clay is what I usually use. I mean, there's others. That's
yeah.
just one that works well for me. It's
Hmm.
usually like a three, like a, I don't know, I'd say like a minimum of 6 week protocol.
Mm.
And then, it just like you just feel like you're finally like digesting better, So
Did
it
you
just
feel like immediate relief like once? Yeah.
to be honest, I people ask me that, like, did you just all of a sudden realize you were fine? And I'm like, it's really weird. It was such a process because there were different symptoms kind of manifesting at different times. So it would
Mm,
be like all of a sudden, like, oh, I don't have that back pain anymore. And I actually didn't even remember I had had it. But then there was like a skin issue going on. So it was almost like as my body was going through layers of detox, different things were happening. So some things were resolved, and then there were other things that were coming up. So it really was a few years before I think I felt like, okay, I'm okay.
yeah.
But it definitely, like with the parasite piece getting resolved, I felt a lot better for sure.
That's awesome because I mean, it's everywhere, right? All over social media, parasite
Yes,
cleanse, and you're like,
yes,
okay.
yeah.
But it really is super prevalent. I mean, this is like you just said, one in three people that you
I
see.
feel like that. I mean, I
Wow.
don't like it's not like a clinical thing, it's my
Yeah,
own thing,
yeah,
but
that's what
yeah,
you observe with your clients and your
constant.
patients.
Yeah.
Wow.
And it's not from people think it's just from travel. It's so not. It's like, yeah,
No.
that's an aspect, but that's not it. I mean, it's like it could be on, fruit that you eat that just had something. It could be a salad bar. It could be passed from person to person. It could be from a pet. Like there's so many things. It's everywhere, you know?
It's kind of like part of the microbiome and
Mhm.
just kind of like I mean, they're part of life, honestly.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, for sure. And that's what I say to the clients, like, don't get freaked out. Everyone's exposed, but the stronger the integrity of your gut is, like whether that's through
Mm,
probiotics or through effective detox, you can resist them easier, because it doesn't mean like we're always exposed, you're always going to have them. It just means like we need to strengthen the wall of your gut so that you can resist it a little bit better.
mm. Okay, so switching gears, talk to me because I mean, we follow each other. You know what I'm like so into energy medicine. Like,
Yes.
how do you integrate the two pieces together of
Like
holistic health with the energy medicine?
So, I do a test called bioenergetic evaluation, and that
Hmm.
is where I'm checking like different points on the hands and feet to kind of see. It's based on acupuncture meridians,
Yep.
and I'm checking to see is that person balanced in this area of the body. So it goes through 48 different points at minimum, like the liver, the digestive system, the thyroid, like all different parts. And then I check to see, okay, if it's not balanced, what's going on? Like, what's the underlying issue? Is it an allergy? Is it a sensitivity, deficiency, toxin? And then from there build like a protocol based on that, like testing different supplements, different herbs, that kind of thing on the area of the body to see what will strengthen it. But then I
Mm,
also look at the chakras too, and I look at just the emotional like well-being of a person, because there were years in practice where I would be testing people and the client might be explaining, what's going on at their job. And I'm listening to them and I'm thinking, geez, like we really need a session devoted to this, because I'm helping them on the physical, but who's helping them on the emotional? And it's not like a therapy type thing. It's more of a almost like a coaching,
right.
but it's just the ability to integrate the two is what I found to be much more beneficial in my practice, which is when I started adding in the chakra work too, where I created a curriculum which is customized for the person, but we first start by figuring out which chakra is imbalanced. And the reason that's important is because with each chakra, there's a physical component as well as emotional components. So if I'm working on someone's adrenal glands and they're chronically stressed, the root chakra often is what shows up. And in that case, it could be fear of change. They could be going through a big life transition. And so I teach them things like how to kind of feel more grounded during that time. And we go through, even foot rolling, teaching them how to stimulate points on their feet, and, talks about grounding techniques and gratitude, and really helping to bring them back into their body and figure out what's draining them in their life and what supports them, and so that we're supporting the whole body. So, and that session, there is a talk aspect to it, but there's
Yeah.
also, I work with crystals and essential oils, and there's like a PEMF mat that I use at the end, and I put
Love.
love it too. And then I put
Mhm.
crystals on them, and we do like a guided meditation. And so it's like a fusion of what I kind of intuitively think they might need, combined with some curriculum that I made a framework for to support
I
it.
I love that so much.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, because that's like the perspective I come from, and you like you've had years of schooling and years of experience, your own battles, reading, researching, like there's no way as like a coach, practitioner, whatever it may be, that you can get to a point where you're helping people where you haven't had experience
Mm,
in your own life to actually like resonate with the client. I'm always telling people this, like you need to use your gut when you are finding a practitioner to see if you guys jive. Do you have any suggestions and advice for those who are looking for practitioners that do this type of work, because there's a lot of like con artists out
yeah,
there, you
yeah, yeah,
know?
yeah. So just something, it's a great question. I mean, I know for me, I definitely want to feel heard when I'm talking to someone, and I don't want a practitioner to make it more about them being right versus what I'm saying that my body is feeling. So, like, I've had clients that say, I experienced this, say, when I take this product, and I would never say that's not true. Or I would say, okay, honor your body. Like, what is your body telling you? Then don't take that. Like, tell me that you've had a problem with this in the past. I trust you, you know? So, I think having a practitioner that seems really willing to work with you, hear you, who's compassionate, who's patient, and who doesn't overpromise, because
Mhm.
I just feel like if someone says everything's going to be perfect by X amount of time, they can't guarantee that. So much of healing is also about the client, their willingness to heal, all of that. There is no timeline that someone can promise you on anything. And I don't even want the clients that want me to quote heal them. I want to
Yeah.
teach them, like I've had
Yeah.
it, and I'm like, no, 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 no. You are capable of this. I'm going to teach you how. I'm going to teach you how to understand your body, and I'm going to teach you how to work with your body. I'm your teacher. I'm not your healer. So I think it's important to have a practitioner that also understands that, because then you're always going to you'll never get out. Like it'll never be over if they are your healer. You'll never feel like you can go out into the world and understand what your body is saying.
A
So I
hundred
think that's
percent.
important.
Yeah, like you have that external, you're too reliant on the external and you're not going inwards. And what's your body saying? What's your inner
Exactly.
world like? What's going
Mhm.
on here? And there are times where you're like, oh my gosh, like, coach needs a coach, healer needs a healer, mentor needs a
Sure.
mentor. But like you just said, that validation of like giving your power away to other people, practitioners, coaches, tools, all these different things. Like I'm noticing that honestly with a lot of clients and students, they're really focused on the external healing them and not going inward to trust their body and know that they can heal themselves.
Exactly. Exactly. It's like it goes back to them trusting their intuition, and when that even started. Like, where did they start doubting their own voice or their own ability to trust themselves? And so many people have that issue. So
Mm,
it's not by fault of anyone to kind of want someone to heal them. It's more goes back to them not trusting themselves.
mm, mm,
So for me, it's having a practitioner that can open them up to how powerful they are. I think
mm.
that that's really key.
I love that. And trust, being able to trust in yourself, the person that you have intuitively chosen to help guide
Yes,
you along the path and along the way is so important.
for sure. Absolutely. And energy is everything. And you usually know, like, when you're interacting with someone, like, do I resonate with them? Do I not? So trusting that too.
Absolutely. I love that. So talk to me because I noticed, obviously I stalked you. Um, I am all about the holistic products and like being able, I think it's super important to like as a coach, healer, what practitioner, whatever it may be, is kind of like helping others integrate into their lives, like making it easier for them and not so overwhelmed. So talk to me because you have like tools and products. So talk to me a little bit about that and how you kind of curated that, like the shop. I think it's really cool.
Oh, thanks. Everything I do in the office is stuff that's either worked for me or that I use, or either I always have a personal connection. So
Yeah.
right now, some of the things that we have are either protein powders that I love, like collagen, for example, like some of my favorite collagen, or detox tools that you can do at home. As I mentioned, castor oil, love it. Such an amazing detox tool. So that's something that we have. And then I have a line of chakra products. So
Mm.
flower essences and essential oils. And there's a quiz on the website that you can take to see which chakra is imbalanced. So it will recommend which one, you need most. And then of course we have like, bath products and some, oils that I love. And then we have the foot rollers that I was mentioning. They're these little balls. To be honest, they can be used as massage balls too,
Yeah.
but I call them the footballs. um, but that's what I use, like, when I'm talking about the grounding and all of that also. Yeah, we always change it up. We have lots of crystals too, because I use a lot of crystals in my work. We're always changing those out. So, and then there's things like medicinal mushrooms, like super powders, just kind of stuff people can, use at home to keep their body healthy.
Yeah, there's so many like gimmicks out there too, and like trendy things that actually
Yes.
cause like more harm than good. So I think it's important to have that aspect like within your business
Mm.
that you align with, and that you're like, I'm not going to recommend something that I haven't personally tried and that, hasn't personally worked for me.
For sure. And I'm glad that you said that. I don't put anything on the shelf so in the tests that I do, I'm actually checking to see if someone needs something. So I don't put anything on the shelf that I would need to test on someone. Anything that's out in the waiting room are things that I consider kind of benign that you could take without knowing if you have a certain condition. But I
Right,
would never
right,
put like adrenal support in the waiting room and let someone figure out if their symptoms match, like
right.
that kind of stuff. So yeah.
Right. I love that. I love that. So, talk to me about the entrepreneurship journey
Mm.
because I love this conversation. And what was that journey like for you? Because I love working with kind of one of the aspects I do as well is working with spiritual entrepreneurs and wellness coaches. What was that process of starting your practice like for you and kind of it's tough, like, it's
Yeah.
challenging. So
Yeah.
talk to me about that and how you kind of created and curated what you have today.
Gosh, I mean, yes. And when you said it, I mean, all I was hearing in my head is hard, hard,
Yeah,
as you were talking. Like,
I
yes, it was
know,
hard.
I
It's
know.
still hard, but it's
Yeah,
because you always want to operate from a place of authenticity and integrity. And sometimes that means having to have really strong boundaries and say no to things
yeah.
that, in the beginning, I started just with nutrition.
Okay.
Not to minimize that, but just that was my focus.
Yeah.
I literally was working from home. I was only seeing clients that I knew.
Yep.
And then I realized the test that I had left out was the one that actually helped me, which was the electrodermal test. So I was like, I think I need to go back and get some training for that. So I learned that and added that in, moved into my own space, went through so much. I did like a build out on the space, had to find tenants. So there was tons of challenges, like, spiritual challenges with
Yeah.
just share, like finding the right tenants, like just the business aspect. It's one thing to work on someone's health, but it's another to have to run, as you
A
know, like
business.
a
Yeah.
business. It's like, first of all, you want to give everyone services for free, like, because you just feel bad for everyone. And
Right.
any story that comes in, I'm like, okay. And I'm like, but I have to pay my rent,
Yeah.
so that was like a 10-year battle for me, honestly. Like any person that came in was massively discounted. And because I just couldn't not want to help someone. And I don't know, I think that was definitely a lesson I had to overcome. But then, again, like finding tenants that you really resonate with, that you can collaborate with, and then finding clients that are your ideal, not just any client, but your
Your
ideal
soulmate
clients.
client,
Yes, like your tribe of people
your
who
tribe.
I'm super grateful that I have now, because I feel the difference. But in the beginning, that was not the case. And I was
Yeah.
constantly having people be like, "You're so young." Because when I started, I think I was like 23. So
That's
like, well,
amazing.
they were like, "You're a child trying to tell me what to do." And also, they didn't know what holistic health was the way they do now. It wasn't as
Yeah.
mainstream. So I was not
Yeah.
only defending what the field was, but my age. And
Yeah.
so there was quite a bit of growing. And then, even in the last 5 years, well, backing up, after I added in the testing, that's when I, as I mentioned, started realizing I'm missing something with the emotional piece, added in the chakra part, and then started running retreats. And so the
Mm.
retreats had were incredible, but also had a whole, bunch of lessons because you're really putting yourself out there and, trying to gather groups. And so they're amazing experiences, but they all had lessons for sure. And then
Mm,
my recent thing, 5 years ago, the space I was in for 15 years had decided they were tearing it down, turning it into residential. So I actually had to decide, like, do I want to go in a different direction at this point? Do I want to be remote? Like, what does my business look like? And
yeah.
it took a lot of soul searching. I ended up, renovating a new space and moving and continuing, but it was a crossroads point. I'd been in practice for a while. I'm like, do I really want to go through this again? It's a lot to start a whole new space. And it worked out. I love my new space and, it's all good. It's just, yes, with every change in the business and with every year, there is some major lesson I feel like I'm working through that I feel amazing that I have the chance to do, but in the moment it's hard.
Oh my gosh, I resonate with that so much.
I'm sure. I'm sure. It's like all of us go through this.
Yeah. And I think the most important part is like, don't give up. That's like
Yes.
the one thing. If something gets hard, I'm like, okay, I don't know what the lesson is, but it'll come up eventually and just
Exactly.
keep going.
Exactly. Sometimes it's like when you realize it, you're like, oh, yeah. I mean, even my health, like I went through
Yeah.
all of this to do what I do.
Yep.
I now get it. In the moment I didn't. And it was about perseverance. It's like what you're saying.
Resiliency, perseverance. If you
Yep.
don't have those qualities, or if you're not tapped into those qualities, it's going to be really challenging to navigate life.
For sure. And like I ask for signs a lot. Like it
Yeah.
helps me. I used to have this thing where for some reason, I associated glitter, like some kind of shiny glitter with like persistence. I don't know why. But
Okay, that's your sign. That's your symbol.
yes, I would literally see a speck of like glitter on my yoga mat when I was going through something. And I'm like, that is my angels. So
Yeah.
it helps to have some kind of sign too.
Love that. Oh my gosh. That is awesome. And so where are you at today in the business? Because I know you moved into a new space, which is beautiful, by the way.
Thank you.
And yeah, so like where's the business headed? Where are you at right now? What's on the lookout for you?
So I was running group retreats, like usually about two a year, and I
Okay.
decided, based on a lot of feedback from participants and then my own energy, with each retreat that people would say, I wish we had more one-on-one time to like work on, our individual issues or whatever it is like we're struggling with. And I did try to incorporate that into retreats, and I realized it's insanity. I don't have that amount of time when I'm
Or
working with a group.
energy.
No. So I realized I'm trying to please everyone, and in the end, pleasing no
Who,
one.
yep.
So I thought, I really want to restructure this. So now I launched a whole new program. It's called a personal retreats, which I offer at a lake house, and it's a one-on-one program that allows me to work with either one or two people actually, and I can customize like the whole day for them. So it has all the same healing elements, but they're in a beautiful environment, they're in nature, they can stay at the house as long as they want, and things like, we do my testing, the chakra sessions, detox treatments, breath work, meditation, and we bring in other practitioners for like facials or massage or yoga, and it's curated for, what they need, and the length of time is also up to them. Like there's a base program, and then
Mm,
from there they can build on it based on, their unique needs. And I find it to be so rewarding because that person is literally getting everything they need in that moment. And I found that a lot of people going on the retreats didn't really want to share things with people that they didn't know, and maybe
yeah.
had a funny energy about like being in a group dynamic and kind of
Yeah.
wanted to get away from that. So it's helping that, and I do a mini version of it in office, which we call like the personal wellness day, and
Oh,
then
I love
they get to
that.
experience the, practitioners in the space too with the other modalities. So that's a big part of where I'm heading, and then definitely doing a lot of follow-up programs off of that, because I really feel like once a person immerses themselves for a full day at least, they're already resetting something. They're committed, they're present, and it's not just like a one-off session where they're coming in to see me and then they go back out into the world like nothing happened. This is at least, 6 to 8 hours that they're devoting to their health. And I feel like they leave in a whole different headspace, and it's a really good jump point for them for anything that we add on after that. So that's where my passion is right now, is really, continuing to build that.
Love that. That's very
Thank you.
cool and very
Thank you.
unique structure.
Yeah, it's different, and it's based on what I saw that I thought people needed and what I'm enjoying doing too. It's
Yeah.
really, I find like it's really easy for me to give my energy to one or two people, but when there's a group, there's a lot of and as much as I did enjoy that, it just you are managing the whole group dynamic. So it can be a little bit challenging at times where it just feels so easy, you
Yeah,
know.
yeah, love that.
Thank you.
So as we wrap up, are there any words of wisdom that you have for the listeners?
Oh wow. Um, I would definitely say be mindful of your thoughts. I'm really into the whole manifesting and, being
Mm-hmm.
being very aware of what you're bringing in and what you're surrounding yourself with and what you're listening to, because to me it's just as important as, what you're eating and, what you're doing. And I think, just having the idea that your body is not your enemy. Like if you are struggling with something health related, it may seem like your body is fighting against you, but I truly, truly believe from my own experience, it's trying to relay a message. And
Mm.
sometimes it's just about shifting something major in your life. And that will, along with addressing the physical that's come with it, can help to really bring you back into balance. It's like once you understand the language, it can be a lot easier.
The secret body, the secret language of the body.
Exactly, exactly.
I love that. Thank you so, so much for coming on
Thank
and sharing
you.
your wisdom. Where
Thank you
can
for
people
having me.
find you?
So, I'm mostly on Instagram in terms of the social platforms, and it's Mindful Health NYC. And
Mm-hmm.
then my website is Mindful Health, mindful with one L, health.biz, B as in boy, I-Z. And I'm
Beautiful.
in Manhattan. So
Yes. And I'll put all of that in the show notes so people know where to find you.
thank
And
you.
thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And this is just the beginning.
For sure.
If you like this episode, like, share, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.